Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now it is happening. Bitcoin is finally starting to break out above this key line of resistance in the short term, potentially causing a small short squeeze, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Solana, which is now officially confirming the breakout back above this key area on the price chart, while the price of Chainlink is continuing to play out this bullish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed on this chart over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, at least for now, and as I've already been saying in recent videos here on the channel, the price of Bitcoin and this MACD right here on the weekly time frame is looking very similar compared to what we saw back here around August 2024, for example. And so obviously, so far over the last few months, this has been perfectly playing out from the moment we saw the bearish crossover at the end of January, early February. Once again, I've been saying since back then, expect some bearish price action, a major correction in the price. And of course, we've seen that over the last few months. And then just over the last few weeks, for almost a month now, I've been saying basically the worst is behind us already. And we're potentially basically where we're at around July to August. And right now, I'm still saying that same thing. And so essentially, we're potentially in the bottoming stage for this correction for the price of Bitcoin. So just keep that in mind. Right now, this is still perfectly playing out, as I've been saying for weeks and months now on the channel. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, at least for now, we still technically have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, telling us we should not necessarily expect significant bullish momentum anytime soon. Of course, at some point later on, it is possible we can ultimately see much more bullish price action. But just in the short term, yes, we could see short-term bullish price action, not necessarily massive momentum here on the larger timeframes, like what we saw back here, for example. And so that is still the situation here on the larger timeframes. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin chart, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is once again coming in for a retest of this area of resistance, sitting in between around 86,000 to 88,000. So considering the fact that at least as of recording this video, we've not yet confirmed a breakout back above 88,000, of course, continue to expect the price to struggle in this area, as we've seen many times over the last few weeks and months. But if we can ultimately confirm a breakout here with ideally a 3-day candle close, but at the very least a daily candle close confirming above 88,000 and ideally actually holding that as new support, then in that situation, I'll be targeting approximately 92,000 as the next major point of resistance to watch out for, based on previous significant support flipping into new resistance. And above 92k, I'll be watching around 96 to 97,000 based on this volume profile indicator, showing a lot of resistance around there. And as I've mentioned many times just recently here on the channel, we have a possible double bottom pattern, also known as a W pattern, and that will potentially confirm if we actually see a confirmed breakout above this area of resistance. So once again, ideally confirming a breakout above 88,000 in order to actually confirm this W pattern or double bottom pattern, which, by the way, if we confirm that breakout here, that would be a strong bullish reversal signal for the price out of this shorter term bearish trend, this correction in the price into a new bullish trend. And so this resistance is still definitely an important area to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, obviously right now in the somewhat shorter term, the price of Bitcoin is continuing to play out the bullish breakout above this previous descending line of resistance, which at the time of the breakout back here, that was sitting at around 83,500. And so obviously, ever since we broke out back then, roughly a week ago, give or take, I've been saying, technically speaking, we're looking more bullish than we are bearish, at least in the short term. But obviously, for some time here in the short term, we're simply lacking momentum, obviously. But one of the reasons as to why we've seen a lot of short-term bullish price action, this bullish relief over the last 1 to 2 weeks, is of course the fact that we have a bullish divergence playing out on the daily time frame. And so once again, as I've been saying every day over the last 1.5 weeks, since right around here when the bullish divergence actually confirmed, I've been saying from that point right there, expect a continued bullish relief as the most likely scenario here in the short term, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically a break or a relief from all of this bearish price action, most likely for a few weeks, a couple of weeks, give or take. But as I just mentioned earlier, this short-term bullish relief from this bullish divergence can potentially turn into more of a bullish reversal in the price of Bitcoin if we actually confirm a breakout above around 88,000. And speaking about breakouts, we've just now started to break out above this short-term line of resistance. But just before talking about that and other important Bitcoin and crypto charts today, first, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on 2bit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 in trading rewards here. But if you're not one of these larger traders, you can still claim a $30 sign up bonus just by making an account using that link below this video to 2bit, and also a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus. And on top of all of that, if you simply use the link below this video to 2bit, you're automatically upgraded to VIP level 1 trading fees, which basically means you get a massive discount on trading fees. You get lowered trading fees over on 2bit, but remember, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, that first or second link below this video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also Bitfinex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this sign up page where you can claim an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees forever over on Bitfinex. That's a massive lifetime fee discount, which is once again only available if you use that link below this video to Bitfinex. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart in the short term here, looking at the 4-hour time frame, obviously at the time of recording this video, we're currently seeing a short-term breakout finally above this line of resistance, this descending line of resistance, which right here at the point of the breakout, the line of resistance was sitting at just above 85,000, around 85.1k to 85.2k approximately. And now, technically speaking, considering this is on the 4-hour time frame, we still technically need to confirm a 4-hour candle close above around 85.2k in order to actually confirm this breakout above this line of resistance. So keep that in mind. At least as of recording this video, we've not yet actually confirmed the breakout. So for all we know, this could just be another candle wick towards the upside like this, for example. But obviously, if we simply confirm that candle close above this line of resistance, and especially if we come back for a retest and actually hold above this level and flip it into new support, that isn't necessary. But if that happens, that'll just be extra confirmation to confirm this breakout. And of course, I've already been preparing you for this exact scenario over the last few days, because I've been talking about the fact that we have major liquidity in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map building towards the upside, just above the current price of Bitcoin, which was sitting mainly at around 86,500 approximately, in between around 86.5k to 86.8k. And so once again, as I've been saying over the last few days, for almost a week now, I've been saying expect, as the most likely scenario, as a very high chance of happening, expect the price of Bitcoin to move towards the upside, towards this liquidity, because that's usually what happens. Obviously, there's no such thing as a guarantee. It's never a 100% chance, but it was always very likely the price of Bitcoin would go bullish rather than bearish, considering most of the liquidity was above the price, at least here in the short term. And so right now, that's exactly what is happening. The price is simply going towards the upside to wipe out these short positions, liquidate a bunch of short positions here at around 86,500 to 86.8k once again. And if we're actually zooming out on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see more liquidity towards the upside if we're looking at the last 1 month worth of price history. So as we could see here, we have a lot of liquidity as well at around 87.4k and also at around almost 89,000. And if we're comparing this liquidity right here compared to what we have towards the downside, at least for now, if we're looking at the short term, once again, what is relatively close towards the price, most of the liquidity is still sitting above the price, which is pointing towards potentially more bullish price action to come. And so keep that in mind. This is what is likely going to happen here in the short term, potentially a continued bullish relief, especially with this bullish divergence on the daily time frame, helping the price of Bitcoin here in the short term. But as always, we cannot ignore these points of resistance, so expect the price to struggle around some of these key points of the price chart right here. But once again, all we need to see is just that confirmed breakout above 88,000, and then we can finally start flipping much more bullish again here in the price of Bitcoin, continuing to expect a relief beyond 90,000, potentially back up towards that 100K level. And of course, in the short term, over the last 1 week, give or take, the price of Bitcoin has been very boring. We've basically been just trading sideways, but it's usually during these periods in the market, and also when the price is very bearish, those are when basically a lot of people actually quit. Basically 99% of the crypto market quits, and a lot of traders just leave the market when things either get very bearish, they get very scared, or when things get very boring. And so you have to keep in mind, when it feels like you really want to quit the crypto market because things are getting really bad or really boring, usually that is the worst time to quit, because basically as there's less people in the crypto market, usually what that translates to is bigger opportunities. And we can see by some famous quotes here, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. That's a quote by Warren Buffett. And of course, it's not just the case for the stock market. In my opinion, it's also the case for the crypto market from my own experience with being in crypto for many years. Because basically every cycle, every time we have a crash or a pump or major sideways price action, a lot of people just quit crypto and basically sell their crypto for cheaper prices into the hands of us that are actually waiting and being patient for an eventual recovery. And that's also shown in this quote right here by Charlie Munger: the big money is not in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting. So always keep that in mind. Whenever Bitcoin and crypto is getting very boring or especially very bearish, those are the times to pay the most attention. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now Ethereum is continuing to hold above and actually bounce from this major area of support sitting in between around 1.4k to 1550. So continue to expect a lot of support in that region. And of course, as I always say, Ethereum, along with a lot of the major altcoins out there, follows similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin, for example, is playing out this bullish relief here, that can really help the price of ETH and a lot of the major altcoins out there, at least here in the short term. But technically speaking, if we're looking at the larger price structure on this weekly Ethereum price chart, at least for now, technically we are still within a larger bearish trend, also known as a bear market. So keep that in mind. In the short term, once again, I do continue to expect a little bit of a relief, especially while Bitcoin is playing out a bullish relief, but that does not necessarily mean the larger bearish trend is over for Ethereum. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame, and right now over the last 1 day, in fact a matter of hours ago, we've now officially confirmed a weekly candle close back above this critical area on the price chart based on previous support, which was temporarily acting as some short-term resistance here, and that was sitting in between around 120 to 130. And so obviously this is a short-term bullish signal for the price of Solana, and technically means the price has now reclaimed this area, which means if, for example, we see another pullback, I'm not saying that will happen, I'm saying if that happens, we'll now likely find support once again within this area in between 120 to 130. And if we're zooming into the daily Solana price chart, obviously this bullish divergence on the daily time frame is still perfectly playing out exactly as I've been talking about since all the way back down here roughly 1.5 weeks ago. So once again, considering the fact that the bullish divergence is still technically active, I continue to expect the same sort of price action that we've seen just here, for example, continued here in the short term. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of Solana is approaching a potential point of resistance based on these previous highs right here, which is sitting at approximately $144 to $146. So around there, expect some short-term resistance. But if we can break out back above around 146 and especially back above around 150, in that case, honestly, we could potentially see a continued bullish relief all the way back up towards around 167 approximately. So overall, at least in the shorter term, once again, at worst, we're looking neutral, but at best, we're looking bullish thanks to this bullish divergence, and especially now that we've confirmed a breakout back above this key area of support. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 3-day time frame, technically speaking, this larger bearish divergence is still currently active because we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate this bearish divergence, which means at least for now, we should not necessarily expect significant bullish momentum here on the larger time frames, for example. And obviously, I've been saying exactly that pretty much every day for months now on the channel since much higher prices, and that's been perfectly playing out. But on the daily time frame here, we're still within this descending parallel channel, which is essentially a bearish trend. But of course, during this bearish trend, we can see the occasional short-term bullish relief. And roughly around a week ago, obviously we started this short-term bullish relief right here, and then we ran into this center line for the descending parallel channel, which has been acting as resistance, as we could see, and that's sitting at approximately $2.11. And right now we are testing that level and potentially starting to break out above the center line for the descending parallel channel. But if we actually confirm the breakout above this line of resistance, of course, we also have horizontal resistance to watch out for, where we've seen many rejections from over the last couple of weeks or so, and that's sitting at roughly around $2.16 to $2.20. So in that region, expect a lot of short-term resistance. But obviously, if we can see a breakout back above ideally 220, in that case, expect a continued relief, potentially all the way up towards around $2.40 to $2.46, and we have major resistance at around $2.55. And of course, while Bitcoin and Solana, for example, and other cryptos are playing out short-term bullish divergences, short-term bullish reliefs, that can help the price of XRP and a lot of the altcoins out there here in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now Chainlink is still perfectly playing out the bullish divergence, as I've been saying for around 1 to 2 weeks now on the channel. So once again, expect a continued bullish relief as the most likely scenario here in the short term for potentially another week at least, because usually a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over a couple of weeks, give or take, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, but usually that sort of time frame. And considering the fact that we've now actually broken back out above $13, if we can especially hold this area, ideally as new support, in that situation, the next point of resistance I'll be watching is sitting at around $14.10 approximately, so just above $14. That could act as some short-term resistance, but above that, the next significant area of resistance to watch out for is sitting in between $14.90 to $15.50. So especially around $15 to $15.50, once again, that is major resistance for the price of Chainlink. And even though, of course, I've been short-term bullish, expecting a bit of a relief in the short term thanks to this bullish divergence, and of course Bitcoin playing out its bullish relief in the short term, even though that's still the case right now for the coming days, maybe the next week or 2 weeks or so, technically speaking, we're still within a longer term bearish trend, a larger bearish trend. If we're simply looking at, for example, the highs and the lows, we're still forming lower highs and lower lows, at least for now. That is the current situation. But once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.